This is Maggie Graham with Quiet Careers in collaboration with Workforce 50. I want to talk to you today about your LinkedIn URL or LinkedIn URL. So the way that we're going to find this is by either clicking here on your profile or going right up here and clicking View Profile. And then if you go along the side here and click this little pencil next to the contact and personal info, this is going to display your LinkedIn URL, and you can see it right up here. Now, if you click this arrow, it's going to give you the option to edit it. And the reason that I recommend editing it is it gives you the opportunity to customize it so that it just has your first name, last name, or your first name, middle initial, last name, or first name, last name, and credentials. And then if you copy the LinkedIn URL in its entirety and put it in your email signature and in the header of your resume and on your business cards, it allows people who are not direct first level connections to you to be able to view your LinkedIn profile in its entirety, as long as you have these settings under the public profile set to display everything for people to view who are not first level connections to you. And I recommend having this setting so that everyone can view your public profile when you are in a job search or you have a business that you're trying to grow. So I hesitate to have you change this. Sometimes people elect to keep their URL at the default, which usually is their first name hyphen last name and then several letters and numbers after it. So what will happen is when you customize it, you lose the ability to have any special characters, spaces, symbols. All of that will disappear. So it makes it more difficult to read with your name smushed together like that. So some people decide to keep it at the default, even though there are several kind of gibberish things at the end of their URL. I recommend going with something that is particular to you. One, because it indicates that you understand LinkedIn well enough to be able to make this change. And then also, if somebody is reading this URL off of a printed piece of paper, say your resume, and they're not using it as a hot link and they have to key in the characters, it's fewer characters for them and it's easier. It's this very small difference, people aren't going to take the time to type in those extra characters, then they probably weren't really going to look very hard for you. So it's a judgment call about whether you want to make this change. If you try first with your first name and last name and then click save, if it's already taken by someone else, LinkedIn will tell you that after you hit save, and it will supply some suggestions that you might consider. And usually it would be first name, last name, and 21 or some numbers after it that are shorter than the numbers that you now have. I recommend then going back in and trying your middle initial or a credential at the end of your name, or the way I have, some sort of branding or definition around the type of work that you're doing. That also is a risk, because if in a few years I'm not a career coach and I want to change this, I can change it. And LinkedIn would probably still send people to this URL if they found that on an old email that I had sent them or an old business card, but that's not a guarantee. So you run the risk whenever you make the change that somebody will not be able to find you using an old URL. So take a look at that and decide whether you want to customize your LinkedIn URL and then use it in your email signature, your resume header, and on your business card. And one last thing while we're on this page, you will see that this is the place where you have the option of putting website addresses in. And I recommend doing that if you have a business website or a website that displays some of your work, because LinkedIn is a very highly regarded site, and so it will really help your elevation in particularly Google's rankings if you have sites like LinkedIn, of LinkedIn's caliber, directing people to your site. It changes your SEO. So that's a good consideration as you're building your profile.